Hey everyone, welcome back to Spirits in the Shadow. Tonight's story is based on true events whispered among hotel staff in Hong Kong. Travelers say that in one particular room, the mirror doesn't just reflect, it remembers. Guests have reported seeing their own silhouette appear before they even reach the glass, as if someone else were standing there first. Stay till the end, because we'll reveal the real incident that made this hotel remove every mirror from its top floor. Lights off, volume up, and don't forget to subscribe for more true Asian horror stories. In Hong Kong, hotels come in all kinds. Sleek glass towers for business travelers and narrow corridor guest houses stacked above old markets. To most visitors, they're just a place to rest between meetings or sightseeing. To Maya Wong, a 27-year-old travel vlogger, they're part of her job. She's practical, adventurous, and, like most modern people, never really believed in ghosts. For her, mirrors were just another design element to capture reflections for her videos. Maya had been on the road for weeks filming Budget Stays of Asia, a series about affordable rooms with character. Her next stop, a 3-star boutique hotel near Mong Kok Station, the Phoenix Inn. She checked in past midnight, tired from filming street food clips and editing footage on her laptop. The receptionist, an elderly man with a name tag reading Mr. Kim, handed her the keycard with an oddly specific warning. Please, close the mirror curtain before sleep. She thought it was just a quirky superstition and smiled politely. The room looked ordinary. Beige wallpaper, humming air conditioner, one queen-sized bed facing a large standing mirror. Everything was clean, if a bit dated. She placed her tripod near the window, arranged her toiletries, and recorded her nightly vlog, a soft-spoken monologue about the joys and fatigue of solo travel. Tomorrow, she said, I'll explore Temple Street and maybe film a night market reel. Her voice sounded steady, but the fatigue in her eyes showed. Then she turned off the camera, washed up, and slipped under the blanket. The city's hum filtered through the thin glass window. Traffic, neon buzz, occasional laughter from the alley below. Nothing unusual. Maya scrolled through her phone, checking comments and messages. One follower wrote, "Don't forget to cover the mirrors in old hotels." Another replied, "They reflect things you don't see." She laughed it off and replied with a joking emoji. But even then, her reflection in the mirror caught her eye, just slightly delayed, like the glass needed a heartbeat to catch up. She rubbed her eyes. "Just tired," she murmured. Still, she remembered Mr. Kim's words and pulled the curtain across the mirror before turning off the lights. For the next few minutes, the only sound was the air conditioner and her slow breathing. Her phone screen dimmed, the city's glow faded through the curtains. A perfectly normal night. That's what makes stories like this so unsettling. They begin in the most ordinary places, with people like us. A hotel after a long day. A mirror near the bed. A traveler too tired to notice small things. The flicker of reflection, the whisper of glass cooling after day heat. We all think we'd react differently, that we'd sense something wrong before it happens. But if you've ever checked into a strange room at midnight, hung your clothes, brushed your teeth, and stared at your tired reflection before sleeping, then you know that quiet pause, that 1 second where your reflection looks just a bit detached. That's why the belief persists. Because even the modern traveler, with Wi-Fi and vlogs and city lights outside, still closes the curtain over the mirror, just in case. Because stories like this always start the same way, with someone who thought it couldn't happen to them. It was close to midnight when Mr. Huang finally checked into the small Mong Kok hotel, the kind that smelled faintly of damp carpets and air freshener trying too hard. He had been working overtime again, spreadsheets, invoices, deadlines that never seemed to end. The 7th floor corridor hummed softly under fluorescent lights, each flicker matching the pounding in his temples. The receptionist had warned him half-jokingly, Room 708 has a mirror right across from the bed. Some guests say it's bad feng shui. Huang only smiled. He wasn't superstitious. He was an accountant. Numbers made sense. Myths didn't. When he entered, the room was small, square, with one narrow window overlooking neon rooftops. A single mirror stretched from floor to ceiling across from the bed. It caught everything: the cheap floral sheets, the buzzing bedside lamp, and him. Tired, shirt still tucked in, eyes dulled from screens. He muttered, "Bad feng shui, sure, but I'm too tired to care." He set his phone to charge, kicked off his shoes, and lay down. The air conditioning hummed like a steady lullaby. But even half asleep, he noticed something. His reflection didn't lie exactly flat. It shimmered, as if the glass surface breathed a moment later than he did. He blinked once, twice. The man in the mirror blinked back, but a heartbeat late. A trick of exhaustion, he told himself. Light delay, maybe a reflection from the neon outside. Logic, always logic. He turned on his side, back to the mirror. His body relaxed, but his mind refused. Every sound, the elevator ding, the wind pressing on the window, grew louder. He could feel the mirror behind him like an open door. Sometime around 3:15 a.m., his phone vibrated briefly, screen lighting up the room. He opened his eyes. The glow hit the mirror first and froze him. His reflection was sitting up. Huang's real body was still flat on the bed, breath caught halfway. But in the mirror, the other him had already risen, looking straight ahead. The reflection tilted its head, slow, deliberate, studying him. His throat went dry. He wanted to move, to check if he was dreaming, but the body in the glass moved first. It stood up, one hand reaching toward the edge of the frame. A faint creak followed, like a hinge inside the wall. The mirror wavered, as if something beneath the surface shifted forward. Huang gasped and scrambled to switch on the lights. The bulb flickered, throwing shadows everywhere. Empty room, intact mirror, perfectly still. His reflection looked normal again. Just him, just tired. He laughed shakily. Stress, I'm hallucinating. He washed his face, stared into the sink, and avoided looking back at the glass. But when he finally turned off the lights again, the mirror caught the moonlight from outside. And there, faint but unmistakable, his reflection was still standing, watching the bed, expression unreadable. For the rest of the night, Huang kept his eyes open. The silence returns first. The air conditioner clicks off even though he never touched the remote. The room exhales into a dull, humming quiet. On the bed, Mr. Huang blinks at the ceiling, then glances at the wardrobe mirror and sees himself sitting upright. He is not sitting upright. He is on his back, one hand under the pillow, but the reflection shows him already propped against the headboard, head tilted as if listening. He sits up to match it, testing for delay. For a breath, both images sync. He lies down again. The reflection doesn't. That becomes the pattern. He moves, it lags, he rests, it watches. He tells himself it's just bad glass, old wiring, a trick of light. He turns the AC back on. It shuts off by itself. He turns the TV on for noise. The screen hisses to snow, and in the mirror the static rolls backward like rain flying up. At 3:12 a.m., the door chain trembles without a sound. At 3:13, droplets appear on the mirror's edge, as if someone inside has been breathing on it for a long time. At 3:14, a smear draws downward in the condensation, the vague curve of a smile erased and redrawn by invisible knuckles. At 3:15, he blinks, and the man in the mirror blinks half a beat later, then turns his head first. The motion is unmistakable. The mirror chooses to move. The mouth opens into a pleasant, practiced expression that doesn't belong to him. His own cheeks are still, but the face in the glass warms into a smile, slow and genteel, like a hotel staffer greeting a new arrival. His scalp prickles. He whispers, "Stop," and the lips in the mirror shape the same word, just a fraction early, as if prompting him. The smile widens, not grotesque, worse, polite. As the lights dim to a faint yellow, he sees it tilt further, as if the reflection is trying on emotions the way a guest tries pillows. He throws the blanket over the mirror in one frantic movement. Cloth slaps glass, and the room goes mercifully featureless. He drags the desk chair against the door, slides to the floor, and waits in the corner, counting breaths. But the strange cadence repeats through the night. The AC dies, the TV mutters, the hallway light under the door flickers like footsteps passing. Once, the blanket lifts from the inside, only a centimeter, only for a second, then falls. He holds his phone, considers filming, decides he doesn't want evidence. By dawn, his throat tastes of metal. Downstairs, the receptionist scans his face, bored with ghosts. "Mirrors do that," she says. "Humidity." Housekeeping shrugs. "The blanket? We never cover mirrors. Guests make a mess." A businessman in the elevator laughs, says it's jet lag, says everyone hears something here. No one else notices. No one else believes. Yet each step back to room 7 on 12 is heavier, and each hour repeats with a sharper edge, the timed silence, the lagging glass, the courteous smile that arrives before his nerves can. He lasts through one more night, counting minutes until the first tram rattles outside, until the color of the room shifts from yellow to gray. When he finally checks out, the receptionist doesn't ask why. She only flips a notepad, adds one tiny tick under a column labeled "Room Change," and says, "If you return, request a room without a mirror." The advice lands like a warning and an admission both, because in this hotel he realizes the mirror doesn't just reflect, it remembers you, and then it practices. Sophia Lim, a marketing executive from Malaysia, arrived at her Hong Kong business hotel past midnight. The city still buzzed below, neon bleeding into the humid air, but the 12th floor was eerily quiet. She had a presentation at 9 a.m., and all she wanted was a few hours of rest. Her room, 1207, was clean, minimal, too perfect, except for one thing. A full-length mirror stood directly across from the bed, reflecting her every move. She laughed it off. "Bad feng shui, but I'll survive one night." Then came the dripping sound. At first it seemed distant, like a leaking pipe in another room. Drip, drip, drip. She checked the tap. Dry, the air conditioner. Silent. The noise persisted, rhythm steady, almost deliberate. When she turned toward the mirror, the sound stopped. Sophia froze. In the reflection, the bed behind her seemed off. The shadows bent slightly as if the frame were warped. Her reflection blinked, a half-second too late. She turned around. The room was empty. When she looked back, her reflection was standing. Sophia's breath caught. She hadn't moved, yet the woman in the mirror stood upright at the head of the bed, long hair hanging forward, head tilted in a way no neck should bend. The dripping resumed, louder now, drip, drip, drip. But it wasn't water. The sound came from the mirror itself. A stain spread across the inside of the glass, dark red like diluted ink. Her hands trembled as she reached for the bedside lamp. It flickered and died. She grabbed her phone, thumb shaking over the flashlight icon. The moment the light flared, the reflection snapped back. Normal, seated, expression blank. Sophia gasped in relief until she noticed one detail that hadn't changed. The smile. Her reflection's lips were still stretched, far too wide, skin pulled to the corners of the face, eyes glistening with something wet. The mouth began to open, wider, cracking at the edges as if flesh were made of porcelain. And from within came a faint whisper, overlapping voices that weren't hers. "We never sleep here alone," Sophia screamed, throwing her phone toward the mirror. The light bounced off the glass, blinding for an instant, and the dripping turned into splashing. When she blinked, the reflection was gone, but handprints smeared the inside of the mirror, like someone trapped between glass and world. She didn't pack. She didn't even turn off the lights. She bolted. In the lobby, her coworker looked up, startled. "Sophia, you okay? You look pale." Her voice cracked. "What happened to room 1207? The colleague hesitated. "That's the one they closed last year. Someone hanged themselves there, by the mirror." Sophia left that night, luggage dragging behind her, eyes fixed on the elevator's reflection. Back home, she replaced every mirror in her apartment with curtains and black cloth. When people ask why, she only says one thing. "If you ever hear dripping at 2:30 a.m., don't look into the mirror. Lights off. Volume up. Would you dare to check your reflection tonight? Comment 'drip' if you'd stay, or run if you'd never sleep facing a mirror again. And don't forget to subscribe for the next true story from Spirits of Asia." Sophia didn't check out. She ran. The corridor stretched endlessly as she dragged her suitcase with trembling hands. The elevator mirror flashed her face in fragments, lips pale, eyes wide, reflection lagging half a second behind. She hit the lobby like escaping a nightmare, but the night outside didn't feel like freedom. It felt like something watching from behind the glass doors, refusing to let go. At the taxi stand, her phone camera glitched. For a single frame, the reflection sitting next to her in the back seat was still smiling, even though she wasn't. She shut her phone off and whispered, "Never again." The driver, an old Hong Kong man, didn't ask questions. He'd seen enough people leaving that hotel in the middle of the night. He only said, "Too many mirrors there." By the time Sophia reached the airport, dawn was a colorless wash over Victoria Harbor. She went straight to the restroom, splashed her face, and looked up, instinctively avoiding the mirror. But curiosity betrayed her. The woman staring back had faint handprints on her throat, like smudges left from inside the glass. She blinked hard, stepped back, and told herself it was reflection distortion, a trick of light, yet her skin burned where those prints had been. Weeks later, back in Kuala Lumpur, she redecorated her bedroom, every mirror gone. Even her compact makeup mirror was shattered and thrown out with trembling fingers. She started sleeping with a lamp on, a small circle of light she could trust. But sometimes, when she turned off her phone screen at night, she swore she saw herself still illuminated, faintly, from a reflection that shouldn't exist. Her colleagues noticed the change. "You look exhausted," they said. "Did Hong Kong stress you out?" She smiled politely, never mentioning that she still dreamed of that hotel room, the dripping sound, the smile that didn't belong, the reflection that sat up when she didn't. Her doctor called it post-travel anxiety. She didn't argue. There were no medical codes for being haunted. One evening, as rain tapped softly on her window, she opened her laptop for a presentation. The screen lit up, and behind her for less than a heartbeat, a second Sophia stood in the doorway. Same outfit, same tired eyes, but smiling. When she turned around, the room was empty. The lamp flickered. The air smelled faintly of hotel disinfectant. Sophia shut the laptop and whispered a prayer her grandmother once taught her. "If a spirit follows you, don't fight. Just remind it you are still alive." The reflection didn't answer, but the shadow behind her dimmed, retreating to wherever reflections go when ignored. She never spoke of it again. But every business trip since, she requests a room without mirrors. Some hotels laugh, others hesitate. Only a few understand. Because somewhere in Hong Kong, on the 12th floor of a business hotel that smells faintly of mold and perfume, a mirror still waits, remembering a woman who fled in the middle of the night and the reflection she left behind. Across Asia, the mirror superstition is not a local myth. It's a continent-wide memory that never died. In Japan, the tamashi kagami, the soul mirror, was once used during funerals. Families would hold a polished bronze surface before the deceased's face, believing the soul would imprint itself in the reflection before crossing. For centuries, temples locked away such mirrors, claiming they remembered what they saw. In the Meiji era, a diary found in Kyoto's Higashiyama district described a household where mirrors were covered for 7 years after a child's death. Each time one was uncovered, the glass fogged from within, as if something was breathing behind it. In Thailand, monks warn never to hang a mirror directly across a bed. The rule is ancient, written in Lana palm leaf manuscripts. Reflections of the sleeping body attract wandering spirits. When the body rests, the Quan, one's spiritual essence, drifts free, searching for itself. If the Quan mistakes its reflection for its body, it may never return. In 1978, a Bangkok hotel reportedly sealed off its entire 14th floor after guests described seeing their doubles standing in the mirror, smiling when they weren't. The mirrors were later removed and reused in a temple's cremation hall. Since then, that temple's abbot forbade any mirror near sleeping quarters, calling them restless glass. In Malaysia, elders speak of the pantang tengah malam, the midnight taboo. At exactly 12, you must not look into a mirror because the veil between alam nyata, the living world, and alam halus, the subtle realm, grows thin. A Penang schoolteacher once recorded her students playing a truth mirror game during the Hungry Ghost Festival. One girl fainted when her reflection blinked a beat later. The next morning, her desk was wet with condensation and no windows were open. Local mediums claimed the mirror was a gateway of unfinished names and smashed it under moonlight. The water, they said, was air row, spirit dew. Across these stories, patterns emerge like recurring dreams. Mirrors do not merely reflect light, they record presence. In psychology, the phenomenon is called reflective anxiety. When the brain expects symmetry but receives delay, a blink too slow, a grin too wide, it triggers an ancient alarm coded in the amygdala. The same fear that once warned cave dwellers of predators now stirs when your reflection seems slightly off. Yet folklore insists this isn't malfunction, it's invitation. Every civilization sensed that reflective surfaces are thresholds, not objects. So when Mr. Huang saw his reflection sit up before he did, when Sophia's mirror smiled back, these were not isolated frights. They were echoes of a pattern spanning the continent. What began as folk caution, don't sleep facing a mirror, now unfolds as cultural archaeology. The witnesses, the diaries, the rituals all agree. Mirrors remember emotion, not appearance. They hold what lingers. The revelation reframes every earlier sign, the delayed reflection, the smiling double, the fog that breathes. The ghost was never in the room. It was in the reflection's memory. Across Asia, the message endures. When darkness falls and you meet your own gaze in the glass, you are never truly alone. What do you think? Is a mirror just glass and reflection, or something that remembers more than light? Across Asia, mirrors have never been just decoration. In Chinese and Japanese homes, they're believed to hold energy, reflecting not only the living, but also what once lived there. In Thailand, mirrors are avoided in bedrooms because they double the soul while you sleep. In old Malaysian houses, they're covered during mourning, so the departed don't get lost staring back. Science says it's psychology. Reflections in dim light play tricks on tired eyes. But every legend, every whispered warning, came from someone's experience, and fear itself is a kind of memory passed down through generations. So maybe the rule isn't superstition, it's survival. If tonight you walk into a hotel room and see a mirror facing your bed, take a breath, shift it aside, or cover it. Respect the unseen rules of the place you rest in. Would you dare to sleep with a mirror reflecting you through the night? Comment below, share your thoughts or stories, and subscribe so you don't miss the next haunting tale from Spirits in the Shadow